It's 6:47 on a Tuesday night. You just had a completely pointless argument with your husband about, and I need you to stay with me here, who left the kitchen cabinet open. Again. And honestly, you've been stewing over it for 4 hours. Not because it was a big deal, but because something about it just stuck. You open the pantry. Close it. You open the fridge and just stand there staring into it like it's going to say something helpful. It doesn't. You've been eating clean for exactly 9 days. You were actually doing really well, like genuinely proud of yourself. And then out of nowhere, this very convincing little voice pipes up.
You know you want it.
One cookie is not going to derail everything. 15 minutes later, you're parked on the couch with a sleeve of Oreos, half watching a home renovation show, feeling kind of gross about it. And you're sitting there thinking,
Why did I even do that?
you weren't even that hungry. Something inside you made that call, and it didn't bother asking for your input. What if I told you that it might not have been entirely you? Right now, inside your body, there are roughly 38 trillion microorganisms just doing their thing. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, microscopic creatures living on your skin, in your mouth, and most importantly, in your gut. The whole crew is called your microbiome. And here's what we used to think, that they just hung out, quiet little tenants, helped with digestion, stayed in their lane. But science has been quietly blowing that theory apart for the last 20 years. Think of your body like a city. Your cells are the people, but the microbiome, those are all the other creatures that also call this city home, and they have opinions about how things should be run. And here's the part that should make you put your phone down. These microorganisms may actually have a say in what you feel like eating. And let's just go ahead and bust the myth right now. Not every microorganism is out to get you. Most of them are just along for the ride, and some of them are genuinely in your corner, as long as you give them what they need. Here's something your doctor has almost certainly never brought up at your annual physical. Your gut is not just a tube that processes food. It also produces vitamins, handles a big chunk of your immune response, and this is where it gets kind of wild, it talks directly to your brain. There's an actual communication system called the gut-brain axis. It's a whole network of nerves, hormones, and biochemical signals running back and forth between your digestive system and your brain. Think of it like a group chat that never stops. And guess who's constantly posting? The bacteria. And this is exactly why we get that nervous stomach feeling when we're anxious, that whole butterflies thing. That's not just a saying, that's a real neurological event happening in your body. Your gut has its own nervous system, and it responds to stress and emotions in real time. The signal goes both ways, but what researchers keep finding is that your gut sends way more information up to your brain than your brain sends back down, which means your gut has a lot more pull in this relationship than anyone thought. Okay, let's actually get into the mechanics of how this works. Gut bacteria produce signaling molecules. These molecules can interact with hormone receptors, fire up the vagus nerve, and influence which neurotransmitters your body makes, including serotonin. Yeah, the same serotonin we talk about when we talk about mood, happiness, and being able to function like a normal human being on a Monday morning. Estimates show that roughly 90% of the body's serotonin is actually produced in the gut. So the state of your microbiome can directly affect your mood, your anxiety levels, how full you feel, what you're craving, and how inflamed your body is. And that grumpy, irritable feeling you get when you're hungry, that's not just your personality coming through. Part of what's happening is a shift in your gut chemistry. The bacteria that run on glucose are throwing a little fit because they haven't been fed, and your brain is picking up on every bit of that signal. You thought that was just who you are. Turns out it was partly your microbiome running a PR campaign. Here's something that genuinely caught me off guard when I first came across it. Your gut microbiome is as unique to you as your fingerprint. The exact mix of bacteria living in your gut is different from your sisters, your neighbors, and the woman next to you in your spin class. It's shaped by what you eat, where you grew up, how many rounds of antibiotics you've been through, your genetics, how well you sleep, how stressed out you are, and whether you actually go to the gym or just pay for the membership. Now, here's the part that explains a whole lot. Different bacteria thrive on different foods. Some are obsessed with sugar. Others do great on fiber and complex carbs. And when a particular bacterial community becomes the dominant one in your gut, it starts sending signals that push you toward the foods that keep it fed. So your sugar cravings might not be a willpower problem, might be in-house marketing from a very pushy bacterial colony. And not all anxiety is in your head. Sometimes it really does come down to what you've been eating and the biochemical chain reaction that diet has been quietly setting off in your gut over time. If your gut just told you to keep watching, that's actually your bacteria making a smart decision for once. Hit subscribe. They clearly have good taste.
See, they know what they're doing.
Yay, subscribe!
Let me walk you through some of the research here, because this is where it gets really hard to brush off. In a study on women with anorexia nervosa, researchers found major differences in the bacterial makeup of their gut microbiome compared to women without the disorder. When that microbiome was transferred into mice in a lab setting, the mice started gaining weight more slowly and showed changes in genes linked to appetite suppression. Read that again. A microbiome moved from a human into an animal, changed eating behavior without anyone touching the brain. There's also a significant body of research tying gut microbiome imbalances to obesity and insulin resistance. People with obesity tend to have a different bacterial profile, one that promotes more inflammation and throws off how the body handles blood sugar, which is a well-known risk factor for type 2 diabetes. And back in 2019, a study out of Oxford found noticeable improvements in depression symptoms after probiotic treatment with 14 bacterial strains. Other large-scale studies found that having certain bacterial species in your gut was actually associated with better quality of life, as reported by the people living it. Now, I want to be really clear here because nuance matters. This does not mean your gut bacteria are the single cause of depression, obesity, or any eating disorder. These are complex conditions with multiple layers: genetics, psychology, environment, life circumstances. What it does mean is that your microbiome is in the room. It's part of the equation, and for a long time, we just weren't paying attention to it. Here's the part I actually find hopeful, and I think you will too. This isn't a one-way street. Yes, your microbiome influences how you behave, but how you behave also shapes your microbiome. When you change the environment inside your gut, you change who's living there. And when who's living there changes, the signals going up to your brain start to shift too. Healthier habits can improve your microbiome, and a healthier microbiome can make it a whole lot easier to keep those habits going. Which means the first few weeks of changing how you eat are genuinely the hardest part, because you're literally going up against a bacterial population that is fighting to keep things exactly the way they are. But once that population shifts, the cravings start to follow. And it works the other direction too. High-risk patterns, stress eating, ultra-processed food, chronic bad sleep, those reinforce the kind of microbiome that keeps pulling you back into those same patterns. It's not a character flaw, it's a feedback loop.
This is fine.
So let's circle back to that Tuesday evening. You had a fight with your husband over nothing. Small thing, but it got under your skin. Stress spikes your cortisol. Cortisol tells your body it needs quick energy. Your gut bacteria, especially the ones that run on simple carbs, turn up the volume on that craving. And if your microbiome is already used to sugar, if that's the community calling the shots, the craving becomes almost physical. It's not you being weak. It's your biology running a script it's been rehearsing for years. And the whole time, your microbiome sitting back, totally unbothered, perfectly comfortable with the arrangement, while you think you're the one in charge. Cut yourself some slack here. You were up against your own biology, and biology had a serious head start. So maybe that night on the couch with the Oreos, it wasn't just you. There was a full-on congressional session going down inside your gut. Trillions of bacterial delegates all voting in favor of the cookie sleeve. Motion carried. 0 objections. Okay, so here's the most powerful thing you can do for your microbiome, and it's honestly way simpler than you'd think. Variety. Not a perfect diet, not a $60 probiotic you saw on Instagram, just variety. The research consistently shows that eating a wider range of whole foods, especially fiber-rich vegetables, legumes, fruit, and fermented foods, increases the diversity of bacterial species in your gut. And diversity is strongly tied to better metabolic health, more stable moods, and a stronger immune system. You're not trying to make your gut perfect. You're trying to make it a more interesting place to live. Because when you change who's living in there, you change the conversation happening between your gut and your brain. And when that conversation changes, the cravings, the mood swings, the late-night snack spiral, they start to shift too. So the next time you're standing in front of that open fridge at 6:47 p.m., maybe stop and ask yourself, is this actually me? Or is my microbiome just running another campaign? Either way, now you know who's been pulling the strings. I want to know, and be honest, what's the most ridiculous thing you've ever eaten right after a stressful day? Drop it in the comments. No judgment. I'll start. It involved an entire sleeve of crackers and a jar of peanut butter at 11 p.m. on a work night. See you in the next video. Bye.